What's the most disgusting thing you've ever done in your life? NSFW. When I was broke, I was living off of 20 pounds bags of rice. Well, one morning I start the rice cooker going while I take a shower. I come back out to find my rice has a ton of tiny cockroaches in it. So, I figured I could use the protein and ate it anyways. I was sneezing like crazy and didn't know why. I tried Pyridine and it did nothing. I didn't feel unwell either, so just rolled with it. A couple of days later I was round a friend's house and really sneezed hard and a little curly noodle came out of my nose. I pulled on it slowly and it slid out all wiggly, which set off my gag reflex. I just managed not to puke on my friend's floor, but I wanted to. It measured about 5 inches stretched out. It was from Chinese food I ate 4 days prior. I got the norovirus. Came down with it during a trip to IKEA. Made it home. But ended up with an immediate need to throw up and have violent diarrhea at the same time. I ended up on the toilet with a plastic bag in my lap for me to barf in. But the bag had a couple tiny holes in it. So it ended up with little streams of puke going in 2 directions. Added bonus, after everything subsided, I blew my nose and half an IKEA meatball came flying out. Ate toilet paper off a road. I was keen on dares and doing stupid stuff to get attention when I was 15. A guy at work dipped and spit into a Starbucks cup that still had the lid on. At one point during our programming session I reached over and took a swig thinking it was my coffee. Was sick. Eating pizza pockets. Threw up. Closed mouth. Shot strings of cheese out nose like ducking Spider-Man. Once, after a drunken night of sex, I went in the bathroom in the morning, looked in the mirror, and saw a red face covered in blood. Dug through 14 bags of medical waste because a scrub nurse thought she maybe threw away a specialized surgical instrument. In 95F heat. Some of the bags had been outside since the day before. The other scrub tech and I kept asking, between bags, if Shed found it. Always no. She found it under a sponge on her tray. Fuck you, Stephanie. After I had kids, my parents liked to criticize me for not being a germophobic mom. I've always been pretty relaxed about germs. And while I kept things pretty clean, I was never overly paranoid about constant hand washing, antibacterial soaps, sterilizing things, etc. If I dropped a pacifier, for example, I would just rinse it off instead of washing and scrubbing and boiling it. My kids are all very healthy and I like to think it's partly because their immune systems have had plenty of practice. Anyway, one day we were all in a hospital visiting my grandmother. It was me, my parents, and my 3 kids. We had traveled hours together to visit her. Tensions were high, and my dad said something about how filthy most hospitals are. I still have no idea why I did what I did next. I guess I was just fed up with everything. I looked my dad in the eye, licked the palm of my hand, knelt down, rubbed my hand around on the hospital floor for a few seconds, and then licked my hand again. The expressions of shock on their faces. It was a truly disgusting and immature thing to do. I got sick. This is a story I quit telling a while ago. I will try and keep it short. I didn't go home during Thanksgiving break my freshman year of college. My buddy's parents were out of town, so he and his brother threw a 4-day rager. One night I made a pizza and proceeded to eat 7 of the 8 slices. I was sitting at a table with about 6 stone teens and I needed to use the bathroom but still wanted the last slice. So I spit on it. I get back from the bathroom and everyone at the table was grossed out by how I protected my last slice. I said, "Oh yeah." I then sent the final slice around the table and had everyone spit on it. The last contributor was a big smoker and hawked a big yellow loogie to top it off. I then ate the slice. One girl was so disgusted she had to leave the party. Yeah, not a story I tell much anymore. I wasn't able to wash my foot for a good month after I had surgery done on it. My leg up to my knee was nothing but pre-surgery saline solution on top of dead skin and swollen leg, with unshaven leg hair poking through in places. The smell when I washed it for the first time. Did I mention I couldn't even use a washcloth because the entire area was swollen as all heck? My legs smelled like stinky foot and saline solution and dead skin and my sister's facial soap for over a month. As a drunken student trying to appear wacky, I knelt down on a pavement outside a pub and licked some vomit we'd just found. Threw up minutes after swallowing an ecstasy pill. Used my phone's flashlight to pick it out of the vomit and sent it back down chased by a beer. Saved $10 that night. Puked into a giant fishbowl I was attempting to complete with some guys I had literally just met. I continued to drink some of my own vomit. Worst thing is that they did too. I sometimes think back to that and wonder if that is even the full story. Not the general theme of this thread, but I shot a bird in our pole barn with a BB gun when I was a young teen. It wasn't dead, so I grabbed a shovel and smashed it to finish the job and put it out of its misery. I buried it in the corner of the barn and made it a little gravestone. I learned a lot about myself that day. And I'll never shoot another animal again. Never been more disgusted with myself than I was that day. I sharted. Checked to make sure it actually happened. It did. In front of 6 other people I worked with. Went to England for the first time on business. Went out to a pub for supper and apparently caught some sort of food poisoning. Vomiting and diarrhea all at the same time. Pretty much uncontrollable. Spattered the walls and even the ceiling of the bathroom. Got better by 4 a.m. but the cleaning lady was pretty incredulous at the mess I made. Came back a few years later and there were still spots on the baseboards. Peed out blood. Like big chunks of blood. For a couple of hours I had a minor existential crisis thinking that I had a serious medical issue. Until I remembered that the girl I boinked the night before was on her period. I've never been so simultaneously relieved and disgusted with myself. Fisting. Went elbow deep. Pulled out a used condom. I've never felt more disgusted reading a thread than today. U/Baki4 Are you entertained now? Is this what you wanted, you sick fuck? When I was 12 or so I used to sneak into the kitchen to eat junk food while my parents were downstairs watching TV. On this particular night I couldn't find anything good in the pantry, so I raided my mom's baking drawer. I found an old bag of chocolate chips. Then quickly plopped down in front of the family computer and proceeded to munch on them while I zoned out surfing the web. After finishing half of the bag they started to taste funny, so I looked down and the bag was filled with small white maggots. I was a young private in the army, like 18 years old still I think. Brand new to the unit. Got super drunk with my new buddies in the barracks. We were all hanging out in the hallway on the bottom floor and my buddy just blew chunks everywhere. Like all over the floor. He was totally fine after just laughed and we all looked at his puke on the floor. He had just ate Checkers/Rallies and there was big chunks of hamburger/fries in it. Someone said to me, I dare you to eat a piece of the burger, and me being the youngest member there and still very new to the unit and very drunk trying to be cool and hardcore as we all thought we were, said, okay. I then picked up a piece of hamburger, a piece of French fry and a vomit-soaked moth that got caught in the mix somehow and ate it without hesitation. Chased it with some Bud Light and immediately became part of the group. Definitely the nastiest thing I have ever done, but also made some of the best friends I've had in life because of it. So, no regrets. A couple of years ago I was really drunk and camping with some friends. I used the porta-john and had my phone with me. It slipped out of my pocket and into the toilet. The toilet was pretty full of water and other things, of course. I was so desperate to save my phone that I stuck my hand into the porta potty and managed to grab it. After that, I put a bunch of hand sanitizer on my hands because there was no sink, of course. My friends and I refer to it as the toilet phone incident. Naturally, the phone did not work after that. I can't even believe I felt the need to grab it because it was just a pay-as-you-go cheap phone. The first time I drove on I-95, I had just moved to the Philly area and had no clue where I was going. It was rush hour and I was not used to East Coast drivers. One time when I was a kid I remember feeling myself getting sick on the couch but just not doing anything about it. Like I was convinced I was gonna throw up but just sat there. So fast forward like 10 minutes and my mom comes in and asks me to scoot over on the couch so she can sit down too. where I proceed to just start vomiting, trying to move on myself and the carpet. My mom started freaking out and helped me to the bathroom. But on my way I puked on the wall and on time in the bathroom sink. Just barely missed it.